Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast from Mashin Sentai Kiramager. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is.
Right. Welcome to episode 17, where we open up with the Kiramagers fighting against Jamenshu, one of the giant monsters. And they have no idea where it came from. They don't even know if there was a Jamenshu this time. Also, his hammerhead is as hard as a rock, and they can't really break through it. So the fight ends in a draw, sort of, and the monster just runs away underground for no reason, other than so the episode can happen.
I mean, the method of retreating makes sense once we get later on. That makes sense. But yeah, it kind of just stalemated and went, yeah, no, I'm done with this. Bye.
So
Which I do like the fact that they're starting to do the whole, we're having trouble with the monster thing to kind of start validating the use of extra mechs and stuff.
right. So uh, back at the base, Mario explains that Silver's drill mech can actually transform into a Titan mode and fight, but it's missing the Silver Kirame stone to power it. And then, uh, what's Silver's name? Takemichi.
Yeah, Takamichi. I knew it
Uh,
was a T, but my brain started to say Tamatono again. I'm like, no, that's yellow.
so Takemichi, he's finally found the treasure he's been looking for at a mansion, uh, which has a weird contest going on. But if you get to the top floor, you win a bunch of treasure, like actual golden jewels and stuff. Takamichi's not interested in that though. But then he sees the grandfather clock, and that has the treasure he's actually looking for embedded into it.
A stone with a funny name.
Yeah, it's a special stone.
Uh,
I don't
I
know
I
what it's.
do look.
I don't remember what it's called. It's just something.
It's like Kiramager or whatever. It's a weird name. But then again, this show is nothing but weird names. Um, I do like the fact that he basically started the whole thing at the mention that went, yeah, no, I can't do this. Let's go get Tametono.
Hey, you're good at games, right? Let's come play a game for me. The game is Whack a Mole. And so this is when we get something that really interests me. So they bring a lot. So Tamitono, Jiro, and Takamichi go to the mansion, and they bring along Shovelo, the yellow gemstone, in his small, handheld form. And with Jiro's Kirametal, they put him on a stick and make him a hammer.
I love the explanation they give for this of Juror going, yeah, no, I already drew this. You're good.
Because
But
Tamitono probably explained to him along the way of, here's what I need.
right, Takamichi probably explained what it was. Tommy explained it to Juror and went, yeah, give me a hammer.
And
Um, the 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 part that I find interesting with this is this opens up the door for a lot more unique weapons.
I'm hoping. I want every member to get something like this.
Like this is something like going back and watching like older Sentai, and by older I mean like just a handful of years ago. This was the standard thing of every ranger had a different weapon. You know, some of them seemed really stupid in the aspect of you know a satellite dish that shoots concussion blasts or scoopers. or a car that's a cannon.
Let's see.
Um,
I want to say Ranger was the last one where they had unique weapons, but on a technicality in that they all had the same weapon that could take different that could be rearranged into different weapons.
right. Uh, but it got to a point where everybody just started getting the same weapons. Everybody gets a sword and a gun. It's
Well,
whether
those are
and then it
always
becomes
standard. Those are always
right.
standard.
But it's gotten to a point where that is the weapon.
Yeah, that was the case for Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger, where they all had guns.
Um, Gokaiger was guns and swords.
Rio
Um,
Soldier was all swords. They just had different like signature arms. Ryuger had different weapons. Uh,
yeah, but
Toki Tokyuger also had different weapons. They just usually didn't come up.
right until they were just making the train cannon imagination thing.
And Ninja, they all had swords. Well, one of them had a guitar, but ignore that.
But like there's still aspects of that show that I question heavily, despite the fact that
Like,
it's not as bad the second time around.
like I was explaining Sentai to a coworker, and I was talking about I was watching a Ninja and that like, okay, so they just got their sixth member, and the rest of them transform by they take their katana and they put a shuriken on it. He takes his hamburger toys and puts it on his sixth string, and the coworker was just like, "What?"
It sounds idiotic, and this is Sentai. There's always something idiotic in some aspect. Uh, but yeah, I miss Sentai members having their own unique weapons that come together to make the finishing weapon.
But yeah, it has been a while since we've gotten that.
Um, and this opens up that door. It also gives the gems, the Jolly Rancher gemstone vehicles, another thing that they can be used for rather than just vehicles and smartass comments, and possibly the ex machina information.
And their guns and swords are made from like the blue stones that are meant to be malleable and can be shaped. So to create the hammer, like it is the equivalent of Tamitono just taking a sword and sticking it into the gem.
Yeah.
So I am hoping to see more unique combinations like this, where it's like, all right, what else can we get? Like maybe we get either like maybe someone gets a bow or something.
And I this the start of this scene and all this gives me another question that I have to ask. How trusting are people in Japan
About what?
that this guy's appearance doesn't raise red flag?
He looks like a game show host in Japan. What are you talking about?
Get to see a game show host that looked like that with the weird uh
The red
makeup on the
nose?
nose and the weird hair. I, don't get me wrong, I've seen weird game show hosts, but in the aspect of this show, we've seen normal people, normal people, normal people. This guy,
Yeah, so?
I would question that a little more.
Just because we don't see the other weird people in Japan doesn't mean they aren't there.
Well, we know that there are, and I'm not. It's just everything about that guy as soon as he popped up was, yeah, bad guy. It wasn't a sense of, this is just an eccentric man playing a bit. No, it just seemed like, yeah, you're the bad guy. 100%, you're just an alien who thinks this is what humans look like. is why most people go the body. Most aliens go the body snatcher routes.
But like in this case, like the monsters don't turn into humans. Like this is the first time we've seen that. So
Right.
why would anyone be suspicious of it?
Oh, it's just every bit of that just seems suspicious to me. Like even before it got to the whole, yeah, this is there's a Jimenchi behind it. My brain just went everybody went, yeah, this is suspect as shit. Why would anybody expect this
Because you're
and
watching
not
this show, but
question it?
they're not.
I, which again, I understand is like, but yeah, I'm trying to process the way the guy looks, the setup for it, it being just some random mansion, along with a game of whack-a-mole appearing at your feet. Nothing about that seems normal.
I don't know, he's
At
rich.
least
He can
to
afford
me.
weird hologram technology. You're
It's just weird to me.
you're seriously overthinking this.
I probably am, and again, given the show that we're watching, that's probably a very dumb idea. But I can't help it.
Uh, so Drew takes off to join the rest of the team that are all fighting the Jimenchu again. Uh, while Takamichi and Tomitono play whack-a-mole. Uh, and Tomitono asks Takamichi, like, hey, look, if I'm going to be helping you with this, can you at least tell me what we're looking for? And so Takamichi finally decides, alright, we are a team after all. A Kanayame stone. It's a glittering stone, alright? It's one of 4 legendary stones that if you bring them together, you form the Quad Force and, I don't know, make any wish happen.
Dragon Balls.
Dragon Balls, Triforce,
Well, every
Chaos
magical
Emeralds,
wish-granting MacGuffin.
like, Chaos Emeralds I don't think granted wishes, but they were still, like, godlike
No,
power.
they they the pre well, video game wise, they just turned Sonic into a Super Saiyan.
Uh,
But
yeah,
there was shit within the comics and cartoons that yeah they were a lot more important than that.
so yeah, he's looking for the 4 MacGuffin stones, and one of them is in this derelict abandoned mansion that the Jamenchi just kind of appropriated for his nefarious scheme of hiding in broad daylight, which worked.
Yeah, it was effective. He had lied a lot of people. Um, Not also I did like the fact that I was one of my theories was proven right in the fact of the masks come off
Yeah, pretty
because
much.
we had that discussion back when uh that happened with the giant one when they vacuumed the mask off and we were all like wait those are masks. I was like then that means these ones should be masks too. I really hope that's the case because there's a certain set of events that I still want to see, and I'm getting closer to seeing it, and I'm happy about that.
So Garuza shows up to beat up Takamichi a bit, and then just kind of leaves.
Yeah, I mean, he does the one blast that knocks Takamichi back, and then goes, "Yeah, I'm out."
His goal isn't actually to kill Takamichi, it's to recruit him. So I think he's just trying to be like, see the power I have? Could be yours.
It's more set up for the preview than anything.
Yeah. Uh,
Um, and again, there's aspects of Garuza that are very disconcerting. That's one of them. Like the fact that a lot of what he does is just on a whim, rather than it being like this meticulous, planned out thing. He just, yeah, screw it, I'll help you.
I think he's just bored. It's like, alright, I've joined the ultimate evil empire and one of the highest ranking members. What do I do?
Bored now.
What's my actual job here?
Apparently, it's just to goof the fuck off.
So Takemichi and Tomitono get to the final floor where Tomitono realizes, like, oh hey, the moles are connected to the Jamenchi, so if I hurt them, it'll hurt him. And that's more or less how they beat him. Playing whack-a-mole.
I understand the monsters being cocky and all that. When you have found a way to do that where it doesn't hurt yourself if somebody happens to beat something. Because to be fair, he apparently planned out several stages. Didn't expect anybody to pass the first one, but had planned out several stages. And it's odd to me that his power would basically be set up in a way of, oh, you hit that thing of the thing I'm trying to do to keep you out of here and, kidnap you. Yeah, that's gonna hurt me too.
I don't think he decided what his powers were.
Understandably so, and I'm sure. But so just for shits and giggles, my brain's going Tarantula or Jotunheim or Yodam or whoever the fuck the great leader shadow guy is. Which to me is that's like building a self-destruct.
I don't think they intended for that to be the case. I think that's just what happened based on how they designed it. It's like imagine if like you're programming like a script.
An accidental bug.
Right, like there's a bug in the system, oh, if you do this, okay, so in Paper Mario: The Origami King, there's an area that to get inside, you have to give the bouncer out front a unique item, and then he'll let you in. But if you give that to him and then you don't go in, but like you leave the screen and then come back, he won't recognize that you gave him the item and won't let you in. And congratulations, you have now soft-locked your game until Nintendo rolls out that patch.
I'll keep that in mind. Don't leave the screen after giving anybody anything. But to me, it's either a glitch or you put a self-destruct button on the bottom of your robot Doofenshmirtz.
Basically, they didn't play test the powers well enough.
Yeah, they just went, idea, go.
Or maybe the guy discovered it and reported it correctly, like, hey, I got some bug notes for you. Could you maybe patch these out? And Crash was like, no.
No, you didn't bring me marshmallows.
It's fine.
I want to see something along the lines of them going, shit, something's wrong here, and then going to Tarantula with marshmallows to bribe him into helping him. Like the way that the bad guys in Geki Ranger bribed to be at the top of the list. I just want more Tarantula.
So now Takemichi and Tomitono go and join the big monster fight. But they're still not strong enough to break through the rock hard Hammerhead. And that's when Takemichi gets an idea. Wait, the silver Kirame stone was used to protect me from the Mon stone. So I kind of count as the silver stone, right? And then he turns into the silver Kirame stone, his mech plugs himself into the engine compartment and he turns into the Titan form.
Elaborate version of Ultraman I've ever seen.
It is, and everything I just said is 100% real.
I mean, this is as close to Magi Ranger turn yourself into a mech as you can get. Because I mean, he turned himself into the stone, which then got put in the mech and became the giant mech, whose finisher is the rider kick. And that's the only thing I'll ever call that finisher, by the way. Like, this is a very unique way of doing this, and I was not expecting it to go that route. I expected it to go, ooh, Kirame Stone, you know, to pop out from inside him, and he goes,
Yeah, nah.
look,
Instead, he just turns
and no,
into
he just
it.
up and turns into it. Like again, these are the points where I'm like, rules of this series would be nice.
No.
Yeah, that's what. And the sad thing is, like, that's what makes this show so good is because literally anything can fucking happen.
Anything could happen. One week you could have a marshmallow monster, and the next week one of your team members could be turning into a giant sentient gemstone.
And
And then, yeah, he Forze kicks the monster.
only thing he needed to do was spin.
The drill on his foot was spinning.
No, but I mean, like, when he landed.
Oh, right. The spin around and stop.
Did the spin around and pause.
Forze was fun.
It was. It got a little.
It was Baby's first Rider series, yes, but it was still fun.
Right. My biggest issue with Force, and this is entirely off topic, I know, but my biggest issue with Force is we're gonna sell a shit ton of toys. So we're gonna make some really dumb power-ups that are literally only useful in this one specific situation, and that's it.
It's because Forza was an anniversary series. 40 years of Rider, 40 power-ups.
Right. I could have dealt with a different set of 40. Let him make 40 friends. I would have been fine with that. And name drop the other 39.
I mean, he did average one friend every 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So, plus all the ones off screen, so he probably made at least 40 friends by the end of that.
40 friends and one girlfriend.
One?
Nadeshko.
The fucking girl who was a senior wanted to take him to prom instead of her actual boyfriend.
Yes, there's that too.
One. Then there was 3 other girls that were going to ask him to the dance. 3 girls that, like, he saved them because they were the monster of the week, and they were all considering asking him to a dance.
I say one in the aspect of it was the only one that he intentionally sought out after meeting him.
Yeah. And she turned out to be alien
fluid liquid
slime
alien
monster.
Well, at least she wasn't.
He's got weird taste.
That whole show had weird taste, but it was really good. All things considered. Yeah, anyways, back to Kiramager.
That's pretty much it. Takemichi now has one of the 4 stones he needs. That only took 17 episodes. I don't remember when Takemichi was actually introduced. Like, what was it? Episode 12?
Something like that. I want to say he appeared right after one. Yeah, I want to say 12 because we just started getting episodes again.
So, he will reveal to the others why he's collecting them since they are a team and he wants to cooperate now. But he's only revealing this to the Kiramagers, the Mashins, gemstones, and his brother Muryu. This is not reaching Mabushina's ears because he's collecting these four stones to rescue her, to
From
save
the
her,
darkness that's coming.
to save her from her curse.
Yeah, the curse of darkness. So that's going to be fun and interesting, I'm sure.
Next time on Kiramager, Garuza turns Takamichi evil for an episode, and Vashi hates the suit design.
Because it's literally just evil eyes and that's it.
It's probably nothing permanent like those other suits were, though.
Right, which I get that. And I understand that. Which is why I have been growing more acceptable of it, given the fact that it's not nobody's expecting that to last very long. This is Kitty's first this is Ryder's first parody, or Sentai's first parody. Not as in literal first parody, but I mean, like, Baby's first Rider. This is Baby's first parody. It's not gonna last long because otherwise it's not a parody and becomes serious and kind of takes away from the effect of the show just a little bit. So I'm not expecting it to last very long, so I can live with the suit. Like it made sense for several of the others because they were essentially literally power-ups. So I'm acceptable for that. So I did a little experiment on one of our theories for this show, and I explained the opening to episode 0.
Right, it's just, the setup for the show.
Well, I explained, like, literally the very beginning of episode 0, Garuza showing up, Olodin dragging the body off, blow up the planet.
Right, I wrote the same thing, like, last year.
I explained this situation to my mother, who literally knows bare minimum about Power Rangers and knows absolutely nothing of Sentai or Rider or anything like that.
Okay.
She knows of Power Rangers in the aspect of, I watched it.
Right. King's brother betrays him and lets the invading forces in.
Right. And I explained the process of events. And then asked her the simple question, is the king alive or dead? Her response was, alive. Because why do that if you're going to blow up the planet? If you're going to glad something, there's no point in dragging a body off. Unless you literally want to go. Well, I mean, there was a lot of explosions.
I mean, true, but, like, the planet is still there.
It's just maybe uninhabitable and or nobody left on it. Except for them. We don't know where they're at, to be fair. We don't know if Yotam's still there or if they went somewhere else.
I feel like if the entire planet was gone, Mabushina would be going through an existential crisis.
Right. And so it's fair to assume that the planet itself is there. Whether or not there's people on it, who knows? But yeah, there's like, even she went, yeah, it's entirely unlikely that the king is dead, because why would you do that?
Well, we will be approaching the 20s soon. So what I said about the king returning for the mid-season power-up,
we're getting to that.
So these shows tend to run about 44 to 50 episodes, though 50 is rare. It's 48 is a more accurate estimate. Uh, so if I were to give a precise guess, I'd say 22 to 25, though anywhere around that area in the 20s would still pretty much count, I'd say.
Right, because these shows tend to go in with, given the number of episodes, on average about 4 arcs. Most of the time, the arcs blend together, but there's usually defining moments of when certain arcs start. We're to the point where we're in the second arc, which would be introduction to Silver, the sixth member, and the actual full-on start of the enemy's plan. Usually, it culminates with the destruction of the first major villain.
And generally, the
I
mid-season
don't see that being
power
a
up comes
thing.
at like the end or beginning of an arc.
Right. So typically around the end of the second arc, in a standard Sentai of standard power up, the one major one and then one small additional one at the end. Um, this would be about we're getting to the point where it would appear, which, like you said, would be about episode 20 to 25 ish. And given the fact that we now have the Six Rangers full debut, about damn time we have all of it. They drug that out, which was nice and unique. We have the doorway open for the power up setup to begin. And then we'll see if the king shows up on this one or if he shows up with the, final power up.
Yeah, that one is probably more likely. But this is going off of how like the draft that I was writing for a Sentai show so scarily lines up with this show. Uh,
You might need to sue Toei.
no.
uh,
I can just sit back and know that like something I basically wanted happened.
right. That's actually a very good feeling, I would assume.
Cause like I had like that's why I chose the gemstone theme. Is it's like you know what that hasn't been a theme before. You could do some neat stuff with that, and they are.
Right. The only thing they missed the opportunity on was the sixth Ranger color.
Oh yeah.
Only because, gemstones, there's a ton of options you could have done, and you went with the standard.
To be fair though, when it comes to being a gemstone, he's pretty much a diamond.
Yeah.
And like his mech is so heavily orange that I can only assume that like the writer maybe wanted to do orange but wasn't allowed to because sell toys.
Because Bandai.
He's like, no, silver and gold sell more than any other colors.
Like, and to me, like, I understand that mindset, and I understand that that's where a lot of contention comes with these shows. Here's what I have planned for the story. How do you work in the toys? So, and then here's 4 ideas that you have. They're not going to sell toys for crap, so you need to change it.
Yeah, no, I can only assume that like when pitching your show idea to the Toei board, like you have to have those stipulations of like here's the concept, here are the mech themes, we can adjust them as needed for toy sales.
Right. Like, and I'm 100%. I have no doubt that that's how this is done. Like, but I was like, personally, it's like I can only imagine how irritating that would be as a writer, and because the writer's basically the one creating all this.
Right, like
At least the idea. Like, the writer had this image in his head, and now that image is being screwed with by outside sources.
What I'm saying is that you basically have to go in with the image
with
of
open kind of
this is temporary, this
flame.
is temporary, this is temporary, this one has to stay.
Right. Like it's which I get it, but even so, it's like that would that would bug me. So I give them a lot of credit for being able to deal with it and handle it
Like,
as well as they
like you
seem to
just
be
have
able to
to
do.
throw your pride away and say, here's the ones I want to keep. Here's what we're allowed to change for merchandising.
Right.
So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We'll be back on Tuesday for more Kiramager and Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Zero One. It's in the final 4 episodes. So thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time, and thank you all for joining us. Keep your gemstones sparkly.